Could the Toronto Maple Leafs be on the verge of making a major move before the trade deadline? With whispers of potential acquisitions swirling around, fans are eager to know if a former Stanley Cup champion could be donning the blue and white soon. As the excitement builds, stay tuned to find out how these moves could reshape the team's playoff ambitions. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button to stay updated on all things Toronto Maple Leafs. Today, I want to dive into an interesting topic that has surfaced recently regarding the Toronto Maple Leafs and the potential trade targets they might consider before the March 7th deadline. Frank Saravalli from Daily Faceoff has released his first list of trade targets for the 2024-25 season, and there are a couple of names on that list that could really make sense for our team. First, let's talk about Yanni Gourde from the Seattle Kraken. At 32 years old, Gourde has a solid playoff pedigree, having been part of back-to-back Stanley Cup winning teams with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, his current stats show a decline with just 2 goals and 5 assists in 20 games this season. That said, I can't help but feel that a change of scenery could reignite his game. He's been playing in a limited role under a new coach, and that might be stifling his production. The Leafs could leverage his experience and versatility. He can play both center and wing, which is valuable for depth, especially when you're looking to solidify those last couple of lines as playoff time approaches. And then there's Brandon Tanev, also from the Kraken. Tanev is 32 and has been making waves lately with his energetic play. With 5 goals and 3 assists in 20 games, he's currently on a pace that could see him hit the 20-goal mark for the first time in his career. His forechecking ability and competitive spirit would fit right into the Leafs' locker room, adding that extra grit we often talk about. Imagine pairing him with Gourde, 2 players who know how to win and could add a much-needed edge to our forward group. Now, I won't lie, seeing both Gourde and Tanev in a Leafs uniform would excite me as a fan. They bring a wealth of playoff experience, and you can never have too many players who know what it takes to win in the postseason. And let's face it, the Leafs need that balance in their lineup. With the current roster construction, adding players like these could turn the tide when it matters most. But here's where it gets tricky. The Leafs have some financial constraints, and acquiring either of these players would likely involve some creative contract negotiations, possibly retaining salary, or even involving a third team to make the numbers work. You can bet that GM Brad Treliving is going to be busy, and I'm curious to see how he navigates this landscape before the deadline. I have to admit, the idea of adding a player like Mike Matheson from the Montreal Canadiens is intriguing, but right now, it seems like the focus is more on forwards. The Leafs have revamped their blue line recently, so I doubt they'll be looking to add another defender. So, I'm left pondering, will Treliving pull the trigger? Will he decide that adding more depth and experience is the right move to push the team over the edge? The potential of adding Gourde and Tanev could be game-changing for the Leafs, especially if we want to make a deep playoff run. And you, what do you think? Do you believe this is the best route for the Leafs to take? I'm honestly torn because while I love the idea of bolstering our forward lines, I also wonder about the impact of these moves on team chemistry and our long-term plans. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What are your expectations and frustrations surrounding the trade deadline? Let's get a conversation going, because this is a pivotal moment for our team as we aim for the Stanley Cup this season. The Toronto Maple Leafs are facing a challenging time right now with injuries piling up. 6 forwards are currently out of the lineup, 5 due to injuries and 1, Ryan Reeves, suspended. And depending on Matthew Knies' evaluation, they might have another issue on their hands after a hard hit from Zach Whitecloud of the Vegas Golden Knights. It's clear the team is feeling the crunch. With 4 players who can play center unavailable, the Leafs might need to explore trade options to bolster their lineup. Even before all these injuries, there were whispers about the Leafs needing to find a center. When healthy, there's a role for a third-line center, but the current options haven't been cutting it. Pontus Holmberg and Max Domi have both taken turns, but the effectiveness just isn't there. Coach Craig Berube ideally wants John Tavares in that role, but he's been performing well on the second line, averaging a point per game and sitting second on the team in goals. This has led to some creative experiments, like trying William Nylander and Mitch Marner at center, but nothing has stuck just yet. Now, let's talk about potential trade targets. There's a wealth of centers available, and while the Leafs are specifically eyeing someone who can fit seamlessly into their lineup, they wouldn't shy away from a player who can also play wing. Names like Brock Nelson from the New York Islanders, Nazem Kadri from the Calgary Flames, and Ryan O'Reilly from the Nashville Predators have been floated around. However, acquiring Kadri or O'Reilly seems unlikely due to their hefty contracts and other personal factors that would make them less inclined to return to Toronto. Some players, like Frank Vatrano and Trent Frederic, are intriguing but come with their own sets of challenges. Vatrano is a talented scorer, but his playing style might not align with Berube's vision for a heavy north-south game. Frederic, on the other hand, is a gritty player who fits the mold of what the Leafs might be looking for. However, trading with the Boston Bruins, a division rival, complicates things significantly. Realistically, names like Nelson, Yanni Gourde, and Michael Granlund are more attainable. They're in the later years of their contracts, making them less of a cap burden. But there's a catch. These players are integral to their current teams, making any negotiations potentially tough for GM Brad Treliving. When looking at the most feasible options, Sean Kuraly, Radek Faksa, and Nick Bjugstad emerge as the most practical targets. Kuraly seems more suited for a fourth-line role, which the Leafs already have covered. Faksa brings valuable playoff experience, having played crucial roles with the Dallas Stars, which could be invaluable for the Leafs if they make a deep playoff run. Now, Bjugstad might just be the best fit for the Maple Leafs. At 6 feet 6 inches, he provides the size that has been somewhat lacking. He also brings the right-handed face-off ability that Toronto has been missing. If Treliving can strike a deal with the Utah Hockey Club, it would be a move that addresses a critical need for the team. Bjugstad has experience in playoff situations, having been traded to Edmonton last season, where he contributed significantly in their postseason run. So, what does this mean for the Leafs moving forward? It's clear they need to make strategic moves to stay competitive, especially with the playoffs in sight. Every decision made now could be pivotal in shaping the team's future and fulfilling the dreams of every Leafs fan. Do you think these potential trades are the right move for the Leafs? I'm honestly torn. While some names are exciting, the logistics and costs involved raise questions. What's your take? I want to hear your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to keep up with all the latest Leafs news, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Let's keep this conversation going. And as always, go Leafs go!